Okay, welcome back. In the last session, we discussed about layers and various states of layers. And while discussing about layers, I mentioned that certain properties can be assigned to these layers so that the entities which we will be drawing in those layers can acquire those properties. Okay, so when I say properties here, I'm primarily focusing on three important properties of a particular entity. And these properties are the color, the line type, and the line weight. I repeat, color, line type, and line weight. All these property you can see here. Okay. Here we can see three drop-down list, which the first one is for color, the second one is for line weight, and the second one is for and the third one. So this first one is color, the second one is line weight, and the third one line type. Okay, but one thing I would like to recommend is, rather than changing these properties of an entity individually, it is always better you assign these properties to a particular layer, and whichever entity you want those type of properties, that can be clubbed in that particular layer, or that can be included in that particular layer, so that you can your drawing will be properly organized. Suppose if you start giving every entity different color or different line type or line weight and all those things, then later if you want to change something, it will be extremely difficult. But if you have organized in the manner which I have explained earlier, that is, if you have organized this as layer ways, then it is very easy for you to change any of these properties. Okay, so first we will discuss what these properties are, then we will see how we can assign these to layer and how we can change it, you know, how we can draw those items in a particular layer or a particular form. So if you look into this area, and if you select any of the drop down, first we will see what this color is, and if you expand this drop down, you can see the first two things, it is by layer, then by block, and there are a number of other colors which is displayed here, right? First we will see what this colors is, and then we'll go back to the other one. First, if you want to change the color of a particular entity, then you can just select that entity, go here and pick the color you want. So suppose if I want it in maybe this yellow, so if you see, this object is changed to yellow. Similarly, if you want to draw some entities in with some specific color, you can first go here and select the color you want, maybe red, right? Then select the entity you want to draw right here. Right. So this is very simple. Like, if you want to change the color of an entity, you select the entity, then go and select the color you want. Or if you want to draw an entity in a different color, just select the color first, then draw the entity, like what we had done in the case of layer. So that drop down will select us to change the color or assign a particular color to. Now if you see the drop down list here, you can see the top two things, that is by layer and by block. What this by layer means, as I mentioned earlier, we can assign a specific property to a layer. So suppose if I give red color to layer 0, or the first layer, layer 0, then if I select by layer option here, then all the entities which I will be drawing in layer 0 will have red color, right? So if I select the option by layer here, then that entity inherits the color of that particular layer, right? So we don't have to define the color separately, although there is nothing wrong in it. You can define it separately, so that the color which has been selected for that will be assigned to the entity. Like now, by layer will be assigned if you give the property or the value corresponding to that property as bilayer. That is, if for a particular entity, if this is given as bilayer, that is color property is given as bilayer, then the color of the layer will be acquired by that entity, right? And as I've been discussing, like it is always better to assign color to a particular layer so that all the entities in that particular layer will be having the same property, right? So this is about color. So one important property, color. Then we have another property which is line weight. The line weight actually decides the thickness of the line when we are taking the hard copy, when we are taking the printout. Okay, I'll draw one line here, right? Now I'll change this line width as the biggest here, 211. You cannot notice any change in the drawing, right? You can't see anything. But when you take the printout, the width of that line will be much higher compared to the other lines. So we have different line widths here. So normally, normally, like while drafting, I think we have already discussed in the class, while drafting we will be using different types of pens. In earlier days when we are drafting manually, we will have 0.1 pen, line of pen of 0.1 thickness, 0.2 thickness, 0.3 thickness, 0.5 thickness, and all those things, and we will be using 0.3 or 0.4 to draw solid outer lines, and 0.2 or 0.1 for center lines or hidden lines, so that will be clearly visible from the other line. By just looking into the view, into the drawing, you can see that these are solid lines, these are the other lines. So to make some difference when we take the printout or when we produce the hard copy, we can use this line width. So for center lines and all the center lines, hidden lines, you can give a smaller line width, and for solid lines you can give a higher this line weight, so that it will be very clearly it can be very clearly demarcated when we take the hard copy. Okay, so that is about line width. So even if you change the line width in the drawing here, but like when you are displaying it on the screen, it may not be clearly visible, but when you take the hard copy or when you take the printout, it will be very clearly visible. So that is about line weight, and line weights also can be assigned as bilayer. There is also something called by block, and the block concept we haven't studied. There is something some important facility or functionality in AutoCAD called blocks, which we will be discussing later. So once we complete the discussion on block, you will understand what this by block means. Okay, so this is about color and line weight. Now we will see what this line type is, which is more important. Let me take a small break. The line type is corresponding to different types of line. We know in any technical drawing, you will be seeing different types of lines. I mean, not only a single type of lines. So far we have, as far as AutoCAD drawing is concerned, we have seen only one type of line, that is solid line, or you can call it as continuous line. We haven't seen dotted lines or center lines. So we'll be using chain lines, that is long dash, short dash, different types of lines. So we may require different types of lines when we prepare a technical drawing, and in certain cases we may even require customized type of lines also. So there are few standard lines which is available in AutoCAD depending upon the template what we are opened, or depending upon the type of line type files which is available in AutoCAD. There will be different types of line type available. So you can use that one, or you can create your own customized lines. In AutoCAD, the line type is stored in a specific file which has got an extension .lin. So and it is not that much difficult to create a custom line. It is very simple in AutoCAD, but we will not be discussing it right now. We will be using only the readily available line types, because AutoCAD has got a very good collection of line types which is sufficient for preparing the technical drawing what we require normally. But in specific cases, for example, if you are preparing a processing layout, and if you have one ingredient coming through one line and another ingredient coming through another line, and if you want to draw lines showing this the process flow or the path through which this ingredient is coming by a line with the name of the ingredient on that one, then you can always create a line of that particular type and use it in that one. So now we are not going to discuss that one. We just think that these lines are stored in certain files which has got an extension LIN, and if you you can load those things to our drawing, whatever drawing we are preparing, and we can use it in our drawing. Okay, so here you can see different types of line type which is already loaded to your drawing, and when we open your drawing for the first time, or when you start your drawing, by default there will not be any line other than this continuous line, and all the entities what we have drawn so far in our drawing is by using this continuous line, right? So before using a particular line type in your drawing, we need to load it from the corresponding file. For that one, what you can do is you can click this other button. It will open a line type manager, and in the line type manager, all the lines which we have loaded into the current drawing will be displayed here, right? Normally when we open this, it will be something like this, and if you click this show details, some further details will be displayed here, which we will discuss later. Okay, so for using a particular line type, first you need to load that to the current drawing. For that one, you can click here. When I click this, it opens another window, and in this window at the top you can see the file. This is what I was mentioning earlier. As we have opened this drawing based on a template called AutoCAD ISO. Hope you remember the template what we have started. So all the line type which is defined in AutoCAD ISO.LIN are displayed here. So these are the line types which has been displayed, which has been defined in this particular file, right? So if you have a different file, you can click here. You will be guided to different files. Like you will be browsed. Like it will be opening a browser like this, and wherever you can the type of you can search and find out where this LIN file is, and accordingly you can select that one. So at present I'm okay with this one, so I'll be using the one which is available here. So I want two line types here, one for the center lines and another for the hidden lines. So hidden lines I'll go with this ISO dash. So I will select that one, then click OK. Now you can see that is loaded here, right? Similarly, I want the other one, so I'll load the other one also. That is ISO long dash dot or long dash dot short dash. I'll use this one, ISO long dash and dot for the center line. So I did load these two things, and then click OK. And so once I click OK, you can see that these lines are available here, right? Earlier only continuous was available there. Now I have different sorry different line. Now suppose if you have some entity in your drawing, and if you want to change the line type, you can select that one, and from here you can go and select the I'll draw the other one. Now we have the long dash and dot and dash dash, both the lines here. So this is how you can load the line type into your drawing, and you can draw them. And if you have some if you want to draw the entities in a particular line style, then first you can go and select the line style from here, then you can draw, so that it will be, even you can draw circle if you want, or rectangle. We're following those colors, right? Here I make by layer. So this is how we can change the line type and draw with a particular line type. If I notice the line type manager window, and if you've seen that details earlier, there are two scale factors here: global scale factor and object scale factor. This is very important. See, the global scale factor decides the scale factor of all the lines in my drawing. What this scale factor is, that I'll come back, but you just try to understand this concept first. That is, the global scale factor changes the scale of all the lines in my drawing, whereas current object scale changes the scale of the entities what we will be drawing next. Right now, after making this to certain value, then all the remaining entities which will be drawing after this will be having the current object scale. Okay, but global affects all the drawings, whatever drawn previously or whatever we are going to draw after this. Right. So now we'll see what the scale factor does is. See here, if you look into this line, you can see there are dashes and gaps between, and the length of this dash and the length of the gap is decided by this global factor. If I change this, say I am changing it to 2 or making it double, now you can see that all this has been increased. So by changing that global scale factor, or by changing the scale factor, the gap and the segment length are increased. I'll again change that to 0.5, I'll make it half. Now just see, all has become very small, right? So according to your requirement, you can change the global scale factor. Right? Normally the global scale factor, when you start for the first time, it will be 1. So I'm just keeping it as 1 itself, right? Now I want all these entities as for all these entities, I want the global scale factor as 1. Now, but the lines which I will be drawing after this, I want it to be smaller one, or the gap should be smaller. So I want it as 0.5. So what I can do? So here, instead of changing the global factor, I will make the current object scale as 0.5. Okay. So this didn't change the earlier drawing. So whatever drawing which I am going to draw after this, okay, I didn't change the distance here. Now just see, this is having different things. So I'll draw a circle here and select this. Just compare this circle and this circle, right? So this is how you can change the global scale factor and current scale factor. So according to that, you'll have different gaps or different widths for the line segment. So I'll convert it to all to, or I'll change all to 1, and let me see. Okay, so now you have few things in this drawing. We'll try to change those things. So like what we have described earlier or explained earlier, rather than changing the line type, scale, color, line weight and all those things here, I can assign it to a particular layer, so that it is easy for us to manage the drawing. Okay. So we have already created a layer called center lines in the previous line. So I'm going to create one more layer here, that is for hidden lines. So it will be hidden underscore lines, and now I have 3 layers here. 0, the default layer in which I will be drawing all the outer solid lines, in fact. Then hidden lines for the one which I want to draw by dash lines, and center lines what you have seen right now, dash dot. And also I will change the color also. So these particular portions, from here you can assign the properties which we have discussed earlier, right? So I want these hidden lines, maybe I'll give each yellow color. Fine. Hidden lines I want yellow color. Then center lines I will give light green color. Green, some light color. Fine. Now for hidden lines, I don't want this continuous. I will have ISO dash. Right. Now for center line, I'll have ISO long dash dot. Similarly, for line weight for 0, I want it more thicker, so I will make it 0.4. This may not be visible, but we'll just see how it can be changed. Then for center lines, I want it very thin, so I'll make it 0.2. Similarly, hidden line, let it be 0.25. Okay, so I did change all these properties here. This is how you can change the properties corresponding to a particular layer. Okay, so I have assigned all these properties some specific values or specific type, so that even you can see in our drawing the center lines has already been changed because we made those changes. The center lines, you can see it has acquired the color of that particular layer because I have set all these things as by layer. Now I'll move all my hidden items or hidden lines also to the corresponding layer, that is hidden layer, and see what happens. What will be the change here? And okay, fine. You can see that hidden lines also. But if you notice the figure, you can see that the gap is quite higher. So I need to change the global scale. See here, it's almost like a straight line here. It's almost like a continuous line here. You cannot see some difference here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to change the global scale. I'll reduce the global scale. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. So here, the global scale factor, I will make it half, that is 0.5. Let me see. Now, is it good? No, still it is not. Which I did change? I didn't change the global scale. I changed the current scale. Sorry. So we'll change the global scale 0.5. Let us see. Slightly okay, but maybe I can change it, reduce it a little bit more. That will be 0.3 for that matter. Now this looks better, right? So accordingly you can change it. Okay, so that's all as far as this session is concerned. So just to recap, we have seen 3 important properties. One is color, the second one is line weight, the third one is line type, and the first 2 are comparatively simple. And for the line type, we need to load line type into our drawing first, then we need to use that one. And it is easy to change all these things for a particular entity, but it is always better you assign these properties to a layer and let the entities inherit it from the layer. So that is a good practice as far as AutoCAD is concerned. So with that, I am concluding this session. We'll meet next time to learn how we can dimension a drawing. We'll use the same drawing. We'll dimension this drawing so that part also will be clear to you. Okay. Stay home, stay safe, and do feel free to ask any clarification or any doubts. In fact, I have been continuously recording these things, so even I might have made some mistake in between. So if you notice any mistakes or anything which you cannot digest properly or understand properly, please do comment or please do contact me through any of the means you have, so that I can clarify those things or I can correct it accordingly. So thank you for watching. Bye.